All right, so you guys know I'm on my U.S. Open kick here, last major of the year in tennis, and I am trying to understand why Novak Djokovic is getting disrespected. Young kid Ben Shelton beats Francis Tiafoe, huge serve. The kid has a good game. He's up and coming. But I'm reading articles about Novak Djokovic is going to have to be a genius and find ways around this kid's game. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Novak Djokovic is the greatest tennis player of all time, arguably, because he has the most Grand Slam titles, at least on the men's side. So why is it that this Ben Shelton kid, who's never even been in this situation in the U.S. Open, so the kid's finding himself in his first ever semifinal of a Grand Slam, and the greatest of all time is the one that has to figure out his game? If I'm Novak Djokovic, I'm like, thank you very much, media. If I needed any more motivation, it's that I have to figure out some unknown kid. Yeah, I know the kid, Ben Shelton. People who Florida tennis fans know him. American tennis fans know him. The average person doesn't know Ben Shelton. Everybody knows the joker, Novak Djokovic. Put some respect on the champ's name. I'm tired of it. Novak, take care of this kid.
Yeah, buddy, we're back again here. Another Thursday with Cinco Squad and a special episode as it is our 75th episode, fellas. Woo! With me are my brothers are Mike, Grandpa Jay, and TreyDay. Fellas, happy Thursday and happy 75th episode. This episode was brought to you by Fans Idea. As you can see, me and Mike are rocking the Fans Idea jerseys that we got here for Cinco Squad. Make sure you go check them out. They got baseball jerseys, hockey jerseys, football jerseys, any jersey you really want, any custom brand, any hat you want, anything. Cinco Squad 10. Get yourself 10% off. Go ahead. Get some deals, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, some of you guys love the matching thing with your ladies, or the whole family is all geared out. Come on, guys. Great time of the year to make that purchase. Cinco Squad 10.
Let's ring it up, Mike, with what's on your mind today.
Well, okay. So this week, I had a little help with what was on my mind. It was a little help from Grandpa Jay. Grandpa Jay provided me a fun fact that I was so excited to bring to you guys, which is this. I actually wrote it down because it's a lot of information. Grandpa Jay knows that. Oh boy. So, in 2008, Michael Riley of Alabama basketball hit a buzzer-beating three to send the Mississippi State-Alabama SEC tournament quarterfinal game to overtime. Yeah, it was the SEC. So it's the SEC tournament. It was a quarterfinal round, right? And like I said, it's a lot of information. Hit a buzzer-beating three to send it to overtime. 8 minutes later, a 120-mile-per-hour tornado passed 200 yards from the arena in Atlanta. Shaking the building, breaking windows, tearing holes in the walls, and flipping cars in the parking lot. Thousands of fans would have either been walking home or walking out to their cars in the parking lot had he not hit that shot.
Wow.
So he hit a shot that sent it not only to the game to overtime and prolonged Alabama's season, but prolonged the lives of thousands of fans.
He's a true savior of Alabama.
He is
in that whole arena.
Yo, everybody in that arena better have a shrine of that kid somewhere in there.
Right.
I want a mini, like a bobblehead or like a
with
fat
the
head.
tree, like that.
Everything.
Right there.
Everything. They need to buy his jersey.
Yeah.
They need his hat.
Christmas every year. Send him a Christmas thank you card with some
exactly. Buy his jersey from the team in Greece he ended up playing for.
So the question is, did they continue the game after that?
Or yeah, they did.
Yeah, they were in the middle. I mean, they had to pause it while it was passing the building, but they were. I think they said there was like 2:11 left when they stopped the game.
Could you imagine if there was like the tornado was coming through and someone was putting up a game-winning shot and it hits the rim and it shakes and it goes in? It's like, what the
hell? Count the basket?
Yeah, you can.
I mean, it went in.
Technical foul on the tornado.
It's like when you were a kid and shaking the basket behind when you were playing one-on-one with your friends. Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, so. Thank you, Grandpa Jay, for providing me that because I found that incredibly amazing. And thank you, Michael Riley, for saving all those people's lives.
Way to go, Mr. Riley.
I want to hear about what Jay's got for his lock of the week this week.
Ladies and gentlemen, It is football time. So you know which direction we're going in this week. My locks of the week. Like we said, this show brought to you by Fans Idea, Cinco Squad 10. Hop on and get your 10% discount. But if you want to buy a whole bunch of stuff, you need to put these bets in this weekend. So you got some moolah to make your purchases next week. So here's the deal for this week. I love what I'm hearing right now coming out of Kansas City's camp, not for owners of Travis Kelce, but for the Detroit Lions plus 4.5 that they're getting tomorrow night. I know the game is in KC, but we all know how different Kansas City looks without a reliable Travis Kelce in that offense to keep drives alive. Nobody else in that receiving core has proved themselves yet. Not Sky Moore, not Mike's boy. Go ahead and say his name, Mike. You know you love him.
Oh, Kadarius Toney.
Toney.
No, I do not like him. I'm glad he's not on the Giants.
You love him. You don't like him.
No receiver on that team has proved himself as of yet. Therefore, advantage Detroit in terms of the points that you're going to give them. It might drop come tomorrow night, knowing that Kelsey's not going to suit up most likely. So if you can get the 4.5 right now, take the 4.5, ladies and gentlemen. Detroit Lions plus 4.5 all the way. And I do have 2 bonuses this week. Much to Mike's chagrin, you know how we feel about the Cowboys. Everybody 3-2-1. Let's say it in unison. Fuck the Cowboys. 3-2-1.
Fuck the
Cowboys.
Fuck the Cowboys this Monday night because give me the Giants at plus 3.5 all day long, baby. If they lose that game, it's because they lose by a field goal. Love the Giants at plus 3.5. Hate Dallas on the road. I just think totally overrated. They played great at home, not on the road last year. And for my final bet, you know I was going to do it. I got to jump on the Prime train. Coach Prime, you got my attention. Colorado, only a 3-point favorite at home. And how cool is it that the Nebraska-Colorado rivalry might be back? Nebraska looked really
sweet.
Good last week. We might actually get a great Colorado-Nebraska game. But this Shooter Sanders is the guy right now. Don't know if Nebraska could slow him down. Then you got Travis Hunter making plays on any side of the field. Doesn't matter, offense, defense. Both those kids look great in week 1. I love Colorado at -3. So I got not 1, not 2, but 3 locks for you this week, ladies and gentlemen. You got to find these locks because if you want to buy our Fans Ideas gear, you're going to get it off the back of these bets, ladies and gentlemen. Lock it in there.
The Bronx Bombers are back, man. They're back for a playoff hunt. 7.5 as of today of this recording on Wednesday. It's amazing to see these guys back. I'm gonna take you back here about let's say about 18 years ago to a so-called team called the 1995 Yankees, who snuck into the playoffs, got eliminated. In Donnie Baseball, we said goodbye to him and welcome in a new captain into the league in Derek Jeter, Jorge Posada, Mariano Rivera, Andy Pettitte, the core 4, baby. And this is the core 4 for the Yankees right now. They have Jason Dominguez, Austin Wells, Anthony Volpe, Everson Pereira, Oswaldo Cabrera. These young kids have put a resurgence into the Yankees. And for a Yankee fan like myself, I am so excited. So looking at this team, it looks eerie similar to that 1995 team. Older team that needed like a new name, new everything, and had this resurgence in September and pushed the Yankees into the wild card, pushed them into the playoffs, give Donnie Baseball an opportunity to play in the playoffs. Now, we have our captain in Aaron Judge, but seeing this young team and Jason Dominguez again tonight hits a home run to take the lead. He did it on Sunday night. He did it on his first ever at bat. This kid is everything that you want out of a Yankees player right now. And as a Yankees fan, I have lost hope for the season until these young guys came up. And one thing I said on the rotation was, why did you wait so long? You were already 7.5 back after the All-Star break. Why did you wait so long? Bring them up. Let them have a chance. And look what's happening. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's having a great time. They look like they're having fun on the bench. This is the first time I've seen Aaron Boone actually happy for once this season. So hats off to these young guys. I hope they make the playoff, because if they do, this will be exciting as hell to see these young guys go into the playoffs. They swept Houston. They have a big series against Milwaukee coming up. Boston, Toronto. These are key series for the Yankees. Let's go, Yankees. We got this. Playoff push, baby. Let's go. And that was Grandpa Jay's locks of the week. Make sure you lock it down. But I know what we're locking down here right now is our primetime week 1 matchups. What we think is the best matchup this week in week 1. Make sure you comment below and let us know your favorite game of the week. Grandpa Jay, I'll throw it over to you and let you continue this amped up energy that you have.
Let's do it. I'm ready. I stretch. I'm loose. I'm ready.
What is your week 1 matchup that you're interested to see?
Well, most people might think that I would have gone with the Monday night game because why not, right? Aaron Rodgers versus the future versus who was the now, right? So it's like, is he passing the torch to Josh Allen? Because Patrick Mahomes has kind of already surpassed both of those guys. He's in a league of his own.
Yeah.
But I'm not going there. I'm going straight to Ohio, Cleveland. My boy over there sitting down to the right. I love me some Cincinnati, Cleveland this week. And here's why. Most people don't know, after an abysmal Monday night showing against the Browns last year, that Joe Cooler than the other side of the pillow Burrow got his first win against the Browns last year at the end of the season. It took him 6 tries to get his first win against the Browns. So as of now, the Browns have actually owned Joe Cool in the Cincinnati Bengals since he's taken over a quarterback. And it's also, to me, the most interesting debut of any player in the league because, Mister, you've been paid more than anybody else. You better show up and play some foosball, or else people going to be knocking on that. He didn't matter that time that this son going to play no football, that this son to play no more.
I knew it was coming.
So the way I see things is if Deshaun don't show up here in week 1, it's going to be debate galore. People are going to be saying Cleveland once again, being Cleveland, making the worst investment in NFL history. If he shows out and he shows up flat, he's going to have to do a lot to recover in week 2. You are not a prisoner of the moment if Deshaun Watson does not look good this week. I'm willing to see if Joe Burrow here can win 2 in a row against the Browns because that seems to be his bogey team. So I'm loving that AFC North matchup. I got some love for the Cincinnati Bengals there. So I'm going all Bengals. That's who I'm picking for the game. But it might not be that easy for the Browns. It might not be that easy for the Bengals this week.
This is a very interesting matchup, in my opinion. I think this is a very important game for Deshaun Watson, coming off everything that he's had in the past, having a shit season last year. I mean, he only played, 6 games or something like that. But realistically, this is his first full season as the Browns quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. He's got some weapons around with Donovan Peoples-Jones, Amari Cooper. Now, I know they're past their, kind of past their prime in a sense. Elijah Mitchell, was it Njoku?
David Njoku, yeah.
Yeah, the big guy. So, I mean, let's see what happens with this offense. I mean, I think they could be secretly good, right? I've seen anywhere from 7-10 to, anywhere from 12-5 for the Browns. Now, that's a stretch in my opinion, but when Deshaun was on the field before all this happened, the scandal, everything like that, he was one of the top quarterbacks in the league. So looking at this game, this is a really, I think, a very critical game for Deshaun Watson as a player in this league to be taken seriously. He needs to go out and beat Cincinnati to make a statement for the Browns this year, in my opinion. In week 1, I know there's a long season, but this game means a lot more than just one game. So, Trey, what you think?
Oh, the Bengals are going to win this game. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't trust what I saw with Deshaun Watson last year. I just didn't like what I saw at all from him. I think the Bengals still have a chip on their shoulder. At the end of the day, you have one of the best quarterback-receiver combos in the league. Yes. You still have a good running back there. And I just think at the end of the day, that fact Jamie said, it keeps coming up. And I think that's actually going to motivate the Bengals more because I don't think they really take the Browns that seriously. And then they didn't in that Monday Night Football game, got their ass busted. And then the second time, they took it seriously. Also, the Bengals the last few years have had very slow starts. So I expect them this season to have a better start because that's been one of the themes of them is, the Bengals are going to start off 1-4 or something like that. I think that crazy game last year versus Pittsburgh, and it starts off slow. So I expect the Bengals to win, but I think the Browns will be, maybe a game or so under 500, maybe one game over 500. I see a lot of the hype coming out there, but the Browns are going to do what the Browns do. This is the Cleveland Browns. Y'all know what this is with them. Let's not play games. You know who you are. What about you, Mike? What's your feelings on it?
the end of the day, the Browns will be the Browns.
Yeah.
DTR. 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 And by the end of the season, if Deshaun Watson isn't showing up, DTR is going to be that starting quarterback. He looked too good in camp to deny him. He's going to be this year's Brock Purdy. No, 100% the Bengals are going to win this game, barring a vast majority of their players not being able to play. They're going to win. The Browns are the Browns. I mean, like you guys said, the Browns are the Browns. And the Bengals, I do agree. I do think they have that chip on their shoulder. I think Burrow has a bit of a chip on his shoulder now. It is like, okay, you got Mahomes, but I feel like Burrow's like, I'm the second best guy in the league. Like, the only guy to consistently beat me, aside from apparently the Browns, is Patrick Mahomes. So, man, I think he's out to prove exactly who he is this year. They're out to prove exactly who they are, especially with all the talk that their defense got worse, their defense can't hold up, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
And that makes it interesting because what's left to be seen is Nick Chubb can actually be the best player on the field this weekend in that game. And if he is, I'd manage Cleveland Browns because that means Deshaun is not going to have to throw it 28 times. They're going to throw it maybe 17 to 20 times, which gives them a much better chance of winning the game.
This is the best Browns team that we've seen in a very long time. They finally have a stable quarterback, right? They have. I mean, I know shaky, right? Like he is, but like from previous, right? Like from previous like years, like out of all their draft pick, he's better than every single draft pick comparatively of all their draft picks, right? So it's like you hope he has the ceiling that he does.
Are you sure it's the same man without the massaging?
Well, he might get a massage for the game.
If he doesn't get that massage, I don't know if Deshaun Watson's the same person. I'm very concerned. The masseuses in Cleveland are running right now. I'm very concerned for that man.
Can you imagine how uncomfortable it is for the person who is currently giving him massages? It must be some like 220-pound retired
some Hawaiian guy with a shirt with a Hawaiian shirt. It's like it's Tito from Rocket Power.
Oh my God, that's such a good poll. It's not even funny. Thank you. I remember. Oh,
could you imagine? All right, power. It's like some his name is Ashley, and he goes, "Where's Ashley?" I'm right here.
Hello, brother.
He's like 350, just just doing his like Hawaiian dance.
You gonna try anything? No, sir.
No, but I do think that the Bengals win this game convincingly. I was just giving a statement on how the Browns need to prove a lot right in week 1.
100%.
But I think the Bengals have been embarrassed by the Browns, and it's been like one of those like bad tooths in their mouth, and they're just like, God damn, I'm just gonna get this fixed. I'm gonna beat the shit out. I think it's a 3-touchdown win.
Only 2.5 right now, which is crazy, right? 2.5 points.
I think it's a 3-touchdown win. We're not gonna see Joe Cool or Jamar in the fourth quarter. So
damn, bro,
beat him down.
Let me swing it to Mikey Mike. It's the game of the week.
So I was looking. There's a few good games this week, and people would conventional wisdom of knowing me would think, oh, I'm gonna pick the Sunday night game because go Giants, fuck the Cowboys. But I'm actually not. The most interesting game to me this week, actually, Jay, I'm glad you swung it to me because it is the matchup of our best new QB wide receiver duos. You picked Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley. I picked Anthony Richardson and Michael Pittman.
There we go.
It's a good matchup.
Colts Jaguars. No, I think this is going to be a very good like litmus test for where both teams are at to start the year. Are the Jaguars I said litmus test. Yeah. Oh, I'm bringing science into this. We ain't playing around. This is football. This is NFL season. Are the Jaguars? We'll get to see in week 1. It's a good test for week 1. Are the Jaguars as that much better as they're supposed to be? Did the Colts fill a lot of the holes even without Jonathan Taylor? Can they survive without Jonathan Taylor? What team are they without their star? Is Anthony Richardson their new star? Does Pittman make the jump? Does, is the line just as good as it has been with Quentin Nelson? And the Jaguars, they got a whole new, is it Saxonville again? There's a lot of questions on both sides of the ball for both teams. So I think it's going to be a great test with each other. And I think it's going to be a battle. I think it's going to be closer than some people. I think it's at 5 right now for Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be, I think it might be like a 3 personally. I think it might be like whoever wins will be by a field goal. But John, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good matchup. I just can't trust the Colts right now. I don't know how Anthony Richardson is going to be with a team that gave Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs trouble last year in the AFC Championship game, right? So it was a tough matchup. Or no, a divisional game. I'm sorry. But it was a tough defense. They only got better, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what the Colts did in the offseason. I didn't see many acquisitions. They got AR. They got their quarterback, which is great, right? And that's what we kept saying last year. They're a quarterback away. Well, now they have disputes with their running back. Can Deion Jackson be the guy, that we were hoping for? So I think Jacksonville wins this game. I think the second matchup is going to be a lot tougher than the first. I think Jacksonville's more sound right now, and they're better. They're a better fit team in the sense of they returned a lot of their guys, got rid of a lot of the older guys. Really got the Calvin Ridley back. I think he's going to be Trevor Lawrence's go-to guy 100% of the time. So, yeah, I think Jacksonville wins this convincingly. I don't think it's close. That's 2 games in a row for me, but I think the Colts need some time to build up on, chemistry and everything like that. Trey?
Duval County. This is going to be a pass. I don't even
Yeah.
think this is going to be close.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't think it's even a good game. Now, I still pick Anthony Richardson as my rookie of the year, but I do also, while picking him as rookie of the year, think the Colts are going to be in the bottom 5 teams in the league this year. Meanwhile, I think on the other end, I think Jacksonville is actually going to win their division. So I don't think this is even going to be a close matchup at all. Jacksonville has improved. They already had Trevor Lawrence coming on second half of the year. Lawrence is going to keep going. Assuming if Ridley picks up where he left off at a couple of years, and that is a big assumption, then I think that's a big addition. If not, Christian Kirk has been good. I think Evan Ingram's good. ETN and Trevor Lawrence have always been a good combo all the way back to the Clemson days. They have an actual real coach. No offense to Urban Meyer, but at the same time, that is an offense to Urban Meyer as an NFL coach. They have an actual real coach out there at this point in Jacksonville. And now he's going to have another year under his wing. I expect a full-on ass kicking in this game. I don't expect Indiana to hang in there. I expect Ant to run for his life. He'll probably have good numbers just because in the end, he'll be just force-feeding some shit and running around for his life. But I expect Duval County's finest to go ahead and beat the hell out of the Colts up there. What about you, Jay? You're down there in Florida. What do you feel about the Jags?
Oh, Duval County, baby. I mean, let's name the Colts starting running back this week, Deion Jackson. I mean, honestly, the Jaguars are not going to stop Deion Jackson, who is their 3rd string option, and maybe their 4th. He moved his way up. So that alone just says to me that it makes them one-dimensional. Too much pressure for AR in week 1. They're going to get to him often. He will turn the ball over probably early, forcing something, especially if they go down by 2 early touchdowns, which I think they will. And then look at the secondary this year. The Colts are starting all over again. The youth movement is officially here against one of the best receiving cores in football because Evan Ingram is that wide receiver type tight end. So you're talking about 4 deep in that position. Christian Kirk may have been the best player that people didn't give enough credit to last year in terms of his production for this team. The guy was automatic, just as good as Chris Godwin was for the Bucs, but didn't get that kind of respect. So I love the potential of this Jaguars team. I feel this is not a good start for AR because that team's going to come after him. They will. I mean, and maybe we see the elusiveness right away, and all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe this can be a game if his legs do prove to do a lot more for him than I'm thinking right now. But I just think the Jags game plan too well for a rookie QB to do any damage against them. They're on a trajectory path to maybe even making the conference championship game this year. And I think we see that team in week 1.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing, right? So I see 2 really far-sighted things happening, right? AR comes out, throws for over 300, rushes for over 150, has 4 or 5 touchdowns, perseveres the Colts to a win, or complete opposite. He has like three picks, 5 or 6 sacks, those. I don't see anything in the middle. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll help you out. He never had those video game numbers that you
right
happening in the NFL.
right. Right. And like that's the crazy part too, right? Because like that's what we saw at Florida, and that's what I was saying last week is that we saw this at Florida. We always thought like, oh, this is going to be the guy, and it just seemed like he never took it to that next level. So we'll see what happens. I mean, he's like when you get drafted, it's a whole different story. You come into camp confident, you come in ready to go. So it should be an interesting game in the first quarter, but I think Jags take it away. So Mike, who you want next?
Let's go over to Trey. Trey, what's your game?
Okay, so game for me, it is an interesting matchup because you're looking at one team, and these are two historical teams. You have one team that has the most Super Bowls and is tied for the most Super Bowls. They're going against a team who has the second most Super Bowls in the history of the league. You have the last two Defensive Player of the Years going head up in this matchup. You have one team that's revamped their whole offensive line going against one of the best defensive linemen. You have what most people would consider two of the top at least 5 or 6 coaches in the league, and that would be my Pittsburgh Steelers going against the San Francisco 49ers. Interesting news coming out yesterday that Joey Bosa went ahead and signed his extension. So we're going to assume that he's probably going to be there, probably on a pitch count. But watching him go against the new Steelers offensive line, that's going to be fun. We're not sure George Kittle's going to play. But there's just a lot of interesting things going on. You have one of the teams who led at the end of the year were on a hot streak in the Steelers. One of the hottest teams leaving the season. You have the 49ers who almost made it to the Super Bowl. These are two teams I think that are going to make the playoffs. So I just think this is going to be a very fun matchup. You got a lot of hard-nosed players in this. I mean, you got Christian McCaffrey, who's versatile. You got Najee Harris, who's versatile. There's just a lot to love about this matchup. And I'm going to pick my Steelers. I'm biased, but I'm also picking my Steelers because I think certain people have slept on my Steelers. And I just think at the end of the day, you're going to put Coach Tomlin out there, and he's had all offseason to prep these guys for this. You got Kenny P. He's been coming on strong. Over there, you got Brock Purdy. We don't know if Brock Purdy's fully, together. He might be someone on a pitch count. Are they going to unleash him fully? It's a lot of things still to wonder about in San Fran. And honestly, I think San Fran is one of my teams I think will be in the Final Four. So it's not shading them. I just think they're going to come on stronger in the second half of the year. So I think my Steelers at home are going to go ahead and take that matchup. But how you feeling about this, Mike?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely a good matchup. Two very similarly built teams in how they like to attack things and the questions that they have. They have similar questions. But I think it's close. I do think it's close. I think this is one where it is probably comes down to a field goal. I'm going to take the Niners. I think right now they're the better team. Plus, personal opinion, take it or leave it, I think they have the better quarterback. That's just me. I've not been a Pickett fan at all ever since before the draft, before he got drafted. So, I think the Steelers have a chance. It being at home makes it very interesting. I think it being in Pittsburgh, if this was in San Fran, I think it might be like a touchdown. Because I think San Fran could feed off that, but Pittsburgh is going to make it tough. I think this is going to be one of the tougher tests of the week. So I definitely agree with you, but give me San Fran by like a field goal. John?
I'm going to stick with my boys. I think not my boys, but my team, my secret team this year, this secret sneaky team this year. This is going to be a statement game for Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris, and Deontay Johnson. I think they're going to come out and they're going to punch the 49ers because I don't think the 49ers are going to take them seriously. I think the 49ers are a little bit lax right now. Obviously had the big Trey Lance trade, got him off there. Debo is still coming off that injury that he had last year. Same with Brock Purdy, like Trey was mentioning. I think this is a statement game. I think Kenny Pickett comes out, throws for over 300, has about 3 or 4 touchdowns, wins the game for the Steelers. I do agree with Mike. I think it's close, but I think it's a touchdown win by the Steelers in a late game drive. And I just can't go against Mike Tomlin. He's a late game. I mean, we all saw that 2010 Super Bowl with the Buccaneers or at the Buccaneers Stadium versus the Cardinals.
Yep.
That was a hell of a freaking call right there. So to San Antonio. So, I mean, I got to give it to Mike Tomlin. I think the 49ers are a great team, but I think the Steelers come out on top. Jay.
10 a.m. game time for the Niners. It is always kind of, despite the East Coast team that is hosting the West Coast team, it's not that you need a great East Coast team and that's why you get the win. We've seen many a times a Colts team that's not that good beat a Chargers team that's very good because of the 10 a.m. game time. That's definitely going against San Fran. I know it's just week 1, so it's not like there's much wear or tear and there's less rest and you're waking up early, et cetera, et cetera. Kittle's questionable. We don't know if Purdy's going to be himself. McCaffrey is obviously going to have to bear the load on this. Steelers do a great job at loading the box, and they may slow him down a little more than most teams can with their edge speed. So I feel like this is a good matchup for the Steelers. I'll take the points, which is 2.5. I think this is a really strange sort of 1-point game, and it could swing either way. I'll go with Mike, where I think the 49ers somehow put together a last-minute drive and squeak this win up.
Not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be it's really interesting. I mean, this matchup, there's like 6 or 7 great matchups this week.
Yeah.
I guess I'm the last one, so
Yes.
I'll just take it away with my last
yours?
one. So I was going through it. That was tough, right? So I think the 2 teams that have the most, statements is the Denver Broncos and the Las Vegas Raiders. They have made changes over the past offseason, with one changing the quarterback, one changing the head coach, and all the schemes and everything that Sean Payton brings to the Broncos. I think both these teams have a lot to play for in week 1 because Russell Wilson was a shell of himself, right, last year. So he was the laughing stock of the NFL, in my opinion. And I love Sean Payton and says, stop fucking kissing babies and get your head in the fucking game. And I love that because it's the truth. I think he cares more about his image than he does the game. And if that's the case, then don't be a quarterback in the NFL, in my opinion. Or move aside and let the next guy come up, right? But I know it's all about money and shit, but like there's a balance, right? Like Tom Brady did it, right? And I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady. Don't worry. I'm not comparing him to Tom Brady. But I'm saying, like, as brands wise, he had to deal with a lot of brands and do a lot of stuff outside of football. But when he locked into football, he locked in for those 16 weeks, right? You're off pretty much from February to August, right? So, like, do your shit in that time and then lock in for 17 weeks or whatever, right? So, and then Jimmy G, right? He's also been kind of like the laughingstock in a sense. Everyone jokes about him. He can't stay healthy. When he is on the field, I think he's a pretty good quarterback, right? I think he's a top 20, maybe quarterback in the league. He could still start in this league. The biggest thing is, can he stay healthy, right? And that's the biggest question mark. But I think both teams are set up to win. And that's the bonus with both these quarterbacks.
Are you finally admitting that Russ is a phony? I've been telling you for years. I've been telling you Russ was a phony.
Russ is a phony?
Yes.
He's a big fat phony.
He's a phony.
He's a big fat phony.
In his prime, though, when they were going to Super Bowls, that boy could play some ball.
No, when I say phony, I don't mean phony as in he's a phony.
Phony personality.
He's a fraud. I meant the person.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Like, if you met him, he would probably, like, he's like that guy.
Like that. Did y'all hear how he sounded when he signed that contract? His whole voice was different. He was laying in bed with Sierra, and he signed the contract. I was like, who the fuck is that talking? That was a voiceover. It's like a whole different person. He had a fucking gold chain on. So who the fuck is this guy?
But I just think those 2 teams have a lot of like turnaround. With losing Derek Carr, have Jimmy G come in, but they do have solid teams around them. That's the scary part, right? They have good receivers. One of the best receivers in Jimmy G has in the league in Devontae Adams. You got a good number 2 in Hunter Renfrow. All right. Oh no, wait, is Hunter Renfrow still on the team?
Yep.
Yeah, barely.
So barely. But I mean, he's still gonna be like the guy that is number 2, right? And Jimmy G loves that. One thing that the Vegas lost was Darren Waller, which was, I thought, terrible move. Because I know you do, but Jimmy G is the tight end quarterback, right? So he loves his tight ends. Him and Kittle were great. Gronk were great.
Yeah.
Like those were his guys. So I'm thinking that's a great matchup. I'm gonna say Vegas wins by 10 in this game. I think they win by 10 in this game. And I think Russell Wilson and the Broncos prove that they're not the bottom feeders of the league, that they aren't. So Trey.
I'm gonna go Vegas. I'm gonna say it's close. and I'm gonna say it's gonna be on some bullshit. How it's gonna happen? It's gonna be like a crazy tip pass, a crazy penalty. It's gonna be some crazy shit that's gonna end up in this game. Honestly, I'm not really high on either team, to be honest with you. I've never been high on Jimmy G. Enjoy him while you can. By week 5, you'll be playing. I forgot who the backup is now, but he'll probably be in by week 5. But Jimmy G's always going to get hurt. That's what this is. Eventually, Devontae. Devontae's one of those sneaky people that I think actually might get traded because I could see everything go south for them and they eventually trade him. But I think everything's going to be good early because it's like, oh, okay, Jimmy G's there. And Josh Jacobs is okay right now because he got the contract, but he still didn't really get the contract he wanted. I just don't think Russ got that much left in the tank.
People forget that he's been in the league almost 12 years now. People forget that. It's like,
and even if you go back to even his best day of his career, it always been leaning on the running game. They got a running back that's coming back from injury at the end of the day, which is still, that's usually a 2-year injury you're waiting for over there. If I remember right, isn't Jerry Jeudy hurt to start the year right now? Or is
he's questionable.
He's questionable. Okay, so I'm not really feeling that.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I think for Sean Payton to work, and I'm not saying it can't work. I think Sean Payton's going to need a year to really install his culture and put the team the way he wants it. They didn't really change from last year's team, so I don't think this is really the team Payton wants. This is the team Payton got stuck with. So I think the Broncos are going to really do something on Sean Payton. It'll be a year after Williams gets better and fully healthy. They probably get Wilson the fuck out of there, and Sean Payton gets to install what he wants to. So, in my mind, I don't think either team's going to be great, and that's actually why this is probably going to be a good matchup because I expect a lot of sloppiness and some crazy shit. We're going to be laughing at, like, a stupid interception. Jimmy G throwing a blind pass because he's closed his eyes. We've seen the Super Bowl. Jimmy G was throwing blind passes. Never forget that in that Super Bowl. Go back and look at it. The man was throwing blind passes. We're looking at Russ. Russ doesn't want to run anymore.
What do you mean they were no-look passes?
My bad. Yeah, Jimmy G was doing a Magic Johnson impersonation. He was doing no-look passes in the middle of the Super Bowl. So I'm not high on either team, but I think it actually makes for a fun matchup because I expect a lot of crazy shit to actually happen. Jay, what are you thinking on this matchup?
It's an interesting matchup. I just because I like the conference rivalry. These two teams over the years have played a very grimy sort of game. I mean, a lot of it is attest to the fact that the Broncos haven't had last year at Wilson a quarterback that can score points or put points on the board. So it tend to be low scoring games that do come down to get within a field goal a lot of times. I definitely don't see a team pulling away by double digits in this one. I think it stays pretty close for most of the game, barring turnovers from either quarterback. Then that may change the game flow at some point. But Jacoby Myers is probably the number 2 right now out there over Hunter Renfrow, to be honest.
You're right.
A slot position.
Yeah.
And that might be better for Jimmy G because he's a speedster that can get him to get rid of the ball quickly. Because I have a feeling that Peyton's going to be dialing up as many blitzes as possible or getting his D coordinator to say, look, we got to pressure this guy because that's how you get to Jimmy G quick. So I think Denver has the better defense. I think that's why they get the edge in this game. I believe the game is in Denver. Is that correct, John?
Yes.
Yeah. So we know how that goes with McManus kicking 67-yard field goals from anywhere.
He's not on the team anymore.
He's on Jacksonville.
Right. They traded for Will Lutz.
But to be honest,
he brought his guy in.
He's also good.
But to your point there, on the kicker side, that always plays a big game there. Carlson on the Raiders was one of the top 3 kickers the last year. He is. So that might actually swing it Raiders in a close game because they do have a stronger kicker who is accurate and playing with altitude.
Correct. It's a swing pick for me. I think either way, one team wins it by a very small margin on the kicker more than anything. I could definitely see this game being a snoozer though. John's style of game, like a 9-6 halftime or a 10-3 halftime. Maybe. Did you hate
the
2000? John's text us in the group. You guys watching this great matchup?
No. I agree with Trey. It's going to be sloppy, bro. I don't think it's going to be a great defensive matchup. That's what I like. Sloppy. Defensive football. That's what I like. Good defensive plays and stuff, not sloppy.
Good defensive football, isn't sloppy football.
Yeah. So, I mean. But Mike, just a question. So let me ask you guys something. When I thought of this matchup, is that one thing that I thought was really disrespectful, and you guys can disagree if you want, is they were comparing because Sean Payton, kind of turned around Drew Brees' career, right, and helped Drew Brees turn around his career. Do you feel like Russell Wilson, and I'm not saying he is Drew Brees, but do you think he's like they were comparing Russell Wilson to Drew Brees at the point of his career? I don't see it personally.
And that's the same career because he got Drew Brees way earlier.
But I'm saying turn him around. But like Drew Brees was pretty much on the way out, right? So is Russell Wilson. I think that's the comparative, right? So
but it was
I don't see it.
They were on the way out. Drew Brees is almost on the way out because of injuries. Russell Wilson's on the way out because of age.
Right.
Not to mention
compare the two because Drew Brees, remember, the Dolphins could have had him, didn't want him because they were scared of physical on him at the time. This isn't that with Russ. Russ is just fucking old. So I don't think you really can compare the bringing back. I don't think Sean Payton is in love with Russell Wilson. So I don't think he's not. Because I think it's a reason why they went out there and signed Stidham to that money, because I wouldn't be shocked if Stidham, and people may look crazy about it, if Stidham is starting in week 10, I would not be shocked. I don't think
it's funny
Payton sold on this shit with him. No. Even the shit you were just talking about, John, the shit he was talking to him. You don't talk to somebody you really love and respect like that. He don't want Russell Wilson. They're stuck with him because they traded all them fucking draft picks and because he has that high contract. If Russell Wilson had an easy out right now, he wouldn't even be the starting quarterback for Denver if it was Sean Payton's up to him. I think this is by default. That's why I think year 2, because now it's a little bit less money on capital if you want to get rid of Russ and shit like that. Then I think Sean Payton, if Sean Payton's going to do the Sean Payton effect, I think it's year 2 because then he has real control.
Right. Mike, what are your thoughts on this game?
So first, I'd like to answer Trey's question from before, which is that Vegas's backup quarterback is the picture that you will see when you look up backup quarterback in the dictionary, which is Brian Hoyer.
Oh, it's Hoyer.
It's Brian Hoyer.
Tyrod Taylor, bro. You know,
Tyrod.
The thing
no, he's Giants back.
And I heard this a long time ago from Mike Jones. It actually made sense. To be a good backup quarterback, you have to look really good in fitted hats and team gear. And Brian Hoyer and Tyrod Taylor, those gentlemen look very nice. They saw a lot of gear.
You got to look good.
See Brian Hoyer in that nice.
He could be the mannequin.
Yeah, when I see him in that nice Raiders hat on the sideline, I'm gonna want to go to NFL.com and go shop. Like, he looks like the guys in that commercial. No, I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, 100%. No, I also would add in that you have to look good while holding a laminated version of the playbook.
Yeah, also that.
It's not even a blaze; it's just a white piece of paper.
No, it is.
Nothing,
it
nothing
is. 100%. There's nothing on it. You just need to look like you're busy helping the other quarterback and coach work out the play.
It's his wife's grocery list.
Yeah. What do I got to get into the game?
Mustard.
I think there's a Publix on the way home if I can get no. So my initial thought is this Denver team would be a heck of a lot better if they had actually kept Bradley Chubb at this point with what they've put together.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm not super high on either team this year. Peyton definitely is going to need an extra year too. This is the year where you figure out who on the current roster is going to get a shot next year in camp to continue to play for the team. Being that it's in Mile High, I'm always partial to go with Denver at home just because, altitude, climate, all that kind of thing. They're kind of used to this, especially the guys that have been on the team for, multiple years. So this is my game that I have getting wacky, getting, like you said, getting sloppy, and something crazy happening. So give me Denver this is my 1 point game. Give me Denver by 1 point.
Okay.
And maybe it is Lutz hitting a game-winning field goal or something to that effect from 70 yards out. He breaks the NFL record because of the lack of resistance in the air or some wild shit like that. But yeah, I think I'll take Denver because they're at home. I think they're about even in teams. And by the way,
let me tell you
Russell
what game
Wilson is not Drew Brees.
Will not be decided on the foot of a kicker. And by the way, Larry David has a great take on why kicking should be taken out of the NFL. Have you ever seen on the Rich Eisen show?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
I did see that.
The honorable mention of the most exciting game this week will be Miami and the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yes,
that game will be fireworks.
Yes, and I think the Chargers are going to come in. We can all say I think the Chargers are coming in embarrassed, and they should.
They should be ashamed.
They should be ashamed of themselves, not for losing the game, but ultimately losing that lead.
Bro,
31 points.
27 nothing.
They saw some
31.
I thought it was 27 nothing.
It's 31 nothing.
31.
31.
They should be ashamed for losing the game in general, though,
Yeah.
too. Because Jacksonville is a very young team.
Yes.
And the Chargers were supposed to be this cohesive unit.
They went out and got all those players.
Yeah, regardless. Whether they losing the lead makes it worse, but they should be ashamed regardless because most of us didn't even have Jacksonville in the playoffs last year as a playoff team, let alone winning a playoff round last year. We all said Jacksonville was a year away, and Justin Herbert was supposed to be the second coming of God with that arm. And
Trevor out there looking like sunshine.
Yeah, and you got Trevor dancing.
Yeah. Well, let us know who your week 1 matchup is besides your team. Go Birds. I know Jamie's saying go Bucks. Mike is saying go Birds.
No.
Trey's saying
No,
go
not what I'm
Steelers.
saying. Not what I'm saying at all.
I'm saying go Vikings. Caleb Williams sweepstakes, dude.
But
You might not.
let us know in the comments what you guys think, and we'll see what happens this weekend.
NFL season starting. I want to do a PSA. So it's week 1, and what's going to happen is going to be a lot of overreactions from fans of both ways. Some fans are going to go crazy and say their team's going to the Super Bowl, and some fans are going to be like, dump the coach, get rid of the quarterback, let's tank and go get Caleb Williams. The thing is, it's week 1, so do not overreact. That's a long season, and this happens every year. We get these crazy overreactions, and everybody's ready to jump off a bridge and tank the whole team. Please, fans, do not do this. Whoever you're a fan of, it's only week 1. So stay in mindset and know that everything's going to work out. Maybe it won't work out, and maybe you will take for Caleb Williams. But at least wait a couple weeks and see what's going to happen. There's a lot of injuries that are going to happen. There may be some free agents that come up. It may be a couple trades. Maybe some of these players aren't fully acclimated at the preseason. So my thing here is don't panic. In the words of Aaron Rodgers, relax.
But moving on to our next topic,
Yes.
which is, do the college preseason rankings even matter? It's been a topic of question with a lot of these teams that lose early. Trey, I'll throw it over to you because I know you were very animated on this.
Well, I think the preseason rankings are actually stupid. Part of why I think they're stupid is because how are we really judging the preseason rankings based on what? So you get a team like Colorado, for example. Colorado comes out and they transfer in like a whole new team. They're based on an expansion team. So we base on not ranking them on what? The reason TCU was ranked was because we assumed they were going to be good because they were in the national championship last year. But these are a completely different set of guys. There's a new quarterback. Most of those guys either went to the league or they're accounting somewhere or doing plumbing or whatever the hell they did after college football. So I don't see how when you equate this, we're going a lot of times off of who do we have in the Heisman race? What team is that? And what programs do we necessarily respect? So whether every year, what do we look at? It's my Buckeyes. We look at Georgia. We look at Alabama. The reason Clemson was rated 9 was because of reputation. There's nothing about what I saw Clemson play that would make you think they were a number 9 team other than you saw Dabo Swinney and you saw that little orange paw print on the side of the helmet. So you assumed that they were still going to be good. So when you're doing the preseason rankings, what are we basing this on? The transfer portal has made this even harder than ever because so many people are switching teams. So how can we really walk in and automatically judge this? What good does the preseason poll really do? Because what's going to happen is a few weeks from now, the committee's going to go in and they're going to lay down their rules. And then once they lay down who they want, that's going to change a lot of opinions of people at that point because the committee doesn't always agree with the AP coaches poll or the sportingnews.com poll or whatever the hell poll they're looking at. So for me, preseason polls, honestly, I don't think they really should I don't think they should really rank until a couple weeks in. One last point of why I don't think they should rank until we get a little bit further in. We always get this thing early where some team goes in, they beat a team, and they say, well, they beat the number 4 team in the country. And then by week 10, that team has lost 3 more matchups, and they actually aren't the number 4 team in the country. So are we going to retroactively keep saying they beat the number 4 team in the country, or are we going to go off what we actually saw weeks down the road? We've seen this many years, especially in the SEC, where some team comes in, LSU or somebody, and they think they're going to be good, and then 3 teams beat up on them, and they get catapulted up because they beat on what was supposed to be the number 5 team in the country, who ends up ending the year at number 23. So that wasn't really the number 5 team in the country. You shouldn't get bonus points off of that. So for me, we should wait a few weeks, see what we see, let a couple matchups go, and then start doing the ranking. How are you feeling about this, Jay?
So I have a pretty interesting outlook on like how we can make this more fun. And I feel like we have to allow things to shift a little bit, right? I think we're done with this idea that preseason rankings determine anything other than the fact that Georgia's number 1, right? Like that we know, okay, hands down, Georgia's number one until somebody dethrones them.
Right.
So I have an interesting idea here, and I would love for college football to consider this. Start with no rankings in week 1. And what you do is, since we're thinking top 25, you do a 25-point basis score system with 4 separate categories. The first one, which is most important, is your recruiting class and the transfers that you got. So you're scoring out of 25 what you give that team, right? So a team that had a great, like Colorado, you can say, okay, we give them a 21. They rehaul the roster. They're bringing in key players. They prove themselves in week 1. You might not have known that, but you might score them high. Then you go pro prospects at key positions on the team. So do you have a lot of pro prospects in your key positions, which means you can win games because of that one player having that upside? So you score that out of 25. Then how competitive your conference was in the previous season. So is your conference proving to be a very competitive conference that has had numerous teams in the top 25 as per last year, because the drop-off might not be that big? Put that over 25. And then what you do in week 1 is you just give them the eye test. So that's your final 25 points. Then you have the top 25 teams that scored the most points on the scale of 100, and you just do 1 through 25, ranking back from whoever scores a 90 high down to whoever scores a whatever that difference is, right? A 74.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe teams have point differences, like this team got 86.2 or 86.8 because you do tenths of differences. And to me, it makes it fun because you're leaving week 1 saying, now you have to earn your top 25 position this year, right now, based on these parameters. So week 2 looks like the actual top 25. And if they would do that,
one thing to add to
you
your
move
point,
forward from there with more of an idea of how things are looking this season, not like what Trey said, we're coming off of last season's results, and this is why we think TCU is, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Trey,
one thing to add to your point, and this goes back to last week's topic. People want to start off with cupcakes. Maybe people start with cupcakes because now that would actually give you more incentive to now go play a real team. Because now what eye test does it mean if you go out here and beat up on, Southeast Tennessee
Portland State 81 to 7.
Any type of extra benefit of starting off like that. If anything, you might get punished for that. So maybe you do come in with a little bit of harder matchup. I'm not saying you got to go, LSU, Florida State, but maybe at least play Duke. If you Clemson, at least maybe you go play another team in a Power 5 at least.
Yeah, and Jay, I love that system because I think that works great. I have another system, right? So, and this is very bold to do, and it's never going to happen. But you don't release the rankings until the season's over. You don't do any rankings at all. You let it go. You play the season, and at the end of the year, we have our final rankings. Why? Because they change every single week. What does it really matter if you're number 1 in the beginning of the week and then you're number 50 at the end of the season, right? So it doesn't matter until that final week. So why not just make it end of the season, and then you're going to have, then it's going to go more to the school, right? We're going to see West Virginia play Penn State, and we're going to think, oh, that could be a really good, those are 2 high perennial schools, right? West Virginia used to be a really good powerhouse in football. Same with, and Penn State is a powerhouse right now. So that the names draw attention, right? So, Clemson and Duke. Duke is the high basketball school, right? We're not expecting that, and then they kick the shit out of Clemson. These names are going to draw more attention than the number by there. I didn't even know Florida State was ranked, to be honest with you. All serious aside, I didn't know they were ranked until that game.
Too. About to be
top 10.
Before.
Yeah.
But it's just a matchup that happened last year. What happened on the field came back this year, and obviously they won that game. So that's my first point on that. I think just do it at the end of the season, after the Big Ten or the conference championship week. Send the rankings out, and those are the teams. It allows us to kind of let teams breathe a little bit, but also not really know. You can't really know where you're at. You don't know where you're at in the committee's head, right? You don't know where, if I sit 3rd or do I sit 6th, right? So I kind of like that feeling. The one thing I do have to say, though, is I think people need to relax on TCU, in my opinion. I think Colorado's going to be inside the top 10 at the end of this season.
Wow.
They're going to have 2 losses. One is going to be Oregon, one's going to be USC. And that's it.
I think they got Oregon.
They got Oregon and USC at home.
Okay.
USC at home. But that's a good Colorado team. They have, I think, 20 or 30 5-star recruits. They have, obviously Shadur Sanders, Travis Hunter, who's a two-way player, 110 plays in the game. So, in my opinion, like, that's a good Colorado team, and TCU fought until the end. And TCU revamped their entire team in this sense because they lost a lot of guys to the transfer portal or lost the NFL. So I give TCU credit, and I give that linebacker that said they're the laughing stock of college football. I know you guys got embarrassed in the national championship game, but in my opinion, if Michigan would have went, I think it would have been the same results. If not, probably. And that's my boys in Michigan, but that Georgia team was rolling last year. So, but I don't think they're the laughing stock of college football. I think the laughing stock of college football has that paw print on their head in Clemson, and they should be outside the top 25 instead of TCU.
Actually, I like that idea a lot that you have there, because then schools don't feel like they're out of it because they don't know if they're the 7 looking in from the outside, and there's no way that they can hop the 5 or 6 because of certain circumstance. I really like that because you're playing the season to the end, and and behind the scenes they're tracking the rankings. It's
Correct.
Just never publicized, right?
Especially when you go to 12 teams, like you can't take a day off. Like, you don't know. Like, Michigan loses to, like, let's say Purdue, and then all of a sudden Michigan's like, it's only 1 loss, and it's like, well, at the end of the season, you're number 13 team. You missed the playoff. It's like, fuck, that really did mean a lot. And it's like, yeah, you took a game off, so you don't know. So you got to play every game to the end, right? So that's how I feel. Mikey Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, so I like both of your ideas. I think they're both better alternatives to the current ranking system of it is. Okay, I'll say this. First of all, to answer the question first, preseason rankings mean nothing other than making whoever's in the top 25 feel good about themselves. And then here's a list of 25 teams that we think are going to be good this year.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Because you don't know, obviously, from, as you can see, Clemson and Colorado, as we continue to name, because those are the 2 primary examples. I like the ideas because, and this is me, I love college football. Like, I love watching games every week, like big Notre Dame fan, you know that.
Yeah.
Hearing the rankings every week and hearing people talk about nothing but the rankings every week gets really, really annoying. I don't care. Oh, well, you guys beat this, but okay, I don't care. We won the game. Or we lost the game. Like, I don't care. I don't care. Like, at some point, did you see Georgia's #1 for like the 50th straight week? No shit. They're back-to-back national champions, and they haven't lost yet this year. Of course they're still #1. Right. Why is anybody shocked that, Bama jumped to #3? Okay. Are they 1? No? Okay. Who cares? Right. Like, honestly, I would, if anything, to kind of meet your guys' ideas in the middle, if you want to do it every, like, a ranking after week 5 and then a ranking after week, going into the conference championships and then a ranking coming out of the championships, that's fine. Okay. We've got more of a sample size to pull from.
Yeah.
We're not putting a team in the top 10 because they kicked the shit out of Portland State. And then the next week they lose to Colorado State. Okay. So what was the point of putting them in the top 10? They're apparently not. Apparently it's just that they're better than Portland State, not that they're so good. So,
one thing I liked about Jays is that the one key point was the recruiting, right? So it puts a little bit more. So we always talk about the players on the field. We never talk about the coaches on the outside, right? So, we do, right? We do talk about the coaching, like that was terrible coaching. But like what you do off the field is just as important. What you do going to get recruiting, going to enter the transfer portal, getting how many players left for the transfer portal, those type of things, I think play a huge factor in your team coming back. So that's why I say I give TCU credit to even be in that game, because in my opinion, I thought it was a 2 or 3 touchdown win by Colorado. I didn't think it would be as close as it was, but give hats off to TCU for coming back and recouping and getting a quarterback in there and in a replacement of the one dude, Max Dugan, I think it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I actually like that idea for the points, but it's just they don't make any sense. Like, I never look at if it mattered, then Syracuse was a number 17 team in the country last year then. Because they were at one point there. They lost to Clemson and then they were out, right? So like those teams, like it doesn't really matter to them. Like you finish the season 6-7. So does it really matter?
Objective. That's the thing. That's the other good thing I would say about Jay's point system is it makes it so much less objective. It's so less opinionated because it's the AP poll, which is considered other than the college football playoff poll now, during the season top poll. It's 60 guys or 60 writers.
Well, one thing that college basketball did was they did, I started getting it now is the quadrant wins. Like where you have the quadrant wins, how they base you off that. Like here's your quad ones, here's your quad twos, threes and fours. Like that's kind of what Jay was talking about. They have a point system with that. So
correct.
That system kind of works in that way, but it doesn't matter until the end of the year. And
that system only works. That works for who's first one in, first one out.
Yeah.
But still, it's some semblance of a system on how to do things.
Yeah, it does. I think it does. It gives you a good idea of who should clear-cut be a number one as opposed to, is this school getting a number one ranking because they survived a strong conference, but their record doesn't reflect it because their quad one wins too. Like I think that's better than having, let's say, a Baylor, no offense to Baylor, but they do play in a great conference. But if the conference was weak and Baylor goes, the whole season playing really weak teams predominantly, but then you have a North Carolina that's getting beat up by other teams 3-4 in the top 10, it makes more sense to be like that team passes the eye test. They won't do it, but it does create a system of fairness to me where you're getting the better teams in those positions that they should be in based on them having that talent as opposed to a team not having to play that hard all year and still win games. In college, I guess, the one thing that does make the rankings exciting is for schools that don't normally get a crack or taste of that top 25. Maybe game day is like, maybe we should visit that campus. They're having a great year based on their ranking. They're hyped up now. The school, it hypes things up for schools that aren't perennially a top or not a top 25 perennial team.
I do give game day credit though. They have kind of gone off and done the smaller schools and whatnot, which has been great. But yeah, I like that factor of it. Seeing the schools that don't normally get to, you get Alabama like 4 times a year. You get Ohio State and Michigan a couple times a year. So like you get those big schools eventually. Yeah. So, but we'll see what happens this week. We got Alabama, Texas, which is a great matchup. We have Miami, Texas A&M, which could be a sneaky good test for the Aggies there against the Hurricanes in Miami. And Trey, who Ohio State play?
Youngstown State.
Close game in Ohio State at the Horseshoe for the home opener.
Real battle in Youngstown State.
Yeah, but let us know what game you're excited to see and what you think about the preseason rankings.
I had a story pop up on my timeline earlier that I feel like is so odd and out there that I have to talk about it. So let's go south of the border to Mexico, where the Mexico City Marathon occurred. And according to a newspaper in Mexico, they had 11,000 people get disqualified from the race simply because they cut corners in it. They got caught cheating and cutting around the course so that they could try to finish the race faster. Now, I understand in a race like this, it may occur. These things may happen with 1 or 2 people, maybe a handful. But 11,000 people, that was a third of the pool that was in the race. There were 30,000 people in the marathon, and 11,000 of them, so over a third, cheated. They must have got together before the race, some kind of meeting, some kind of bullshit, because how do 11,000 people do the same thing in this race? Come on, guys. Be respectable to this marathon. Run the race the right way, and if you can't win it, then don't run it.
As we're talking about rankings here, let's take it over to our signature and our guy who is ranked number 1 in our signature game in Stump the Squad.
Let's do it.
Take it away, Grandpa Jay.
Yeah, so in typical Mikey Mike fashion, the guy comes back to the show and gets his first dub and dethrones me and takes away the quadrangular. But we're going for a new streak this week, boys. Trey and John, I wish you the best. I didn't think you're getting off the snide this week, though. Mikey Mike,
I'm in the negatives.
You again, buddy. But we're going to prove whether or not I'm right this week. Welcome to Stump the Squad, our favorite part of the show. We're doing it a little bit different in case you guys haven't seen our new format. We're still doing the 2 points if you get it right, -2 if you get it wrong. However, we're doing a cumulative total wins going all the way up to show 100, and the person who has the most wins at show 100 wins whatever grand prize we're thinking. Guys, I got myself a championship belt this week. Sent the picture to you guys in my fantasy big league. Got myself a trophy that's the size of my door. I'm loving the gaudiness of it. I think we definitely need our own championship belt, so that might be what the winner gets, and then we just pass it on to whoever wins every 25 shows. But let's take it away this week. John, you will either stump the squad or not. Let's see what you got this week.
Awesome. Well, I have an NFL question, and it is, how many teams do not retire jerseys in the NFL? How many? Is it 2, 3, 4, or 5?
4.
Mike says
3.
Trey says 4, 3. Grandpa J.
2.
Grandpa J says 2.
1, which isn't an answer.
Yes, it is 1. No.
He didn't put that's how you get them. You put the answer.
You don't put the answer.
It's not 5.
I have successfully stumped Trey and Mike. It is 2. And the 2 teams are the Vegas, aka Oakland Raiders, because both of them, and the Dallas Cowboys.
I knew the Cowboys.
No, of course the Cowboys don't.
Yeah.
And they do not retire numbers. So
I knew the Cowboys then. I didn't know Vegas then.
Mikey Mike, take it away.
All right. So slide it on.
Oop. There you go.
All right. So we'll slide it on over to college football. We're talking about rankings. Which of the following unranked teams who won the national championship was the only team to lose a game?
Say that again?
So, which of the following unranked preseason teams?
Yeah.
So they were in the preseason rankings. They were not ranked. Went on that year to win the national championship.
With a loss.
Who's the only one to do it with a loss?
Okay.
Is it A, 1981 Clemson? B, 1983 Miami? C, 1984 BYU? Or D, 1990 Georgia Tech?
I'm going Georgia Tech.
Yeah, me too.
Trey and John say Georgia Tech. Grandpa
Not
J.
BYU. I want to say Georgia Tech did have one loss, and so did Nebraska, but they got it. But you know what? I'm not going to go there.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 82.
BYU.
Nope. 83, you said?
So the other 2 options would be 81 Clemson and 83 Miami.
83 Miami.
Okay. This week I have successfully stumped Trey and John. It is 1983 Miami.
Yeah.
Now,
I remember the documentary, and I remember them losing early, and I did
Week 1, they got absolutely crushed by number 16 Florida.
Yes.
Now, I will say this before we go to the next person. Guys, you were not entirely wrong in your thinking. 1990 Georgia Tech did not have a loss, but they did have a tie.
That's what it was.
Oh, okay.
They tied North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
All right, fine, Grandpa Jay. You go ahead with your getting questions right.
Well, how about we just stay in the college football world? My question is, so you guys, I jumped on that Coach Prime train. When was the last time CU was unranked in the preseason and jumped into the top 25 after week 1? Was it 2003, 2004, 2010, or 2013?
They said this after the game, too.
Yes, they did.
Word out again.
13.
So last time CU was unranked in preseason but jumped in the top 25 after week 1 was 2003, 2004, 2010, or 2013.
I'm going 03.
Hold on, let me look it up.
Give me a second here.
I'm gonna go 2000. You said 2010, right?
3, 4, 10, and 13 are your options.
I'm gonna go 2010.
Okay, John,
13.
Trey, Mikey, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, I have successfully stumped John and Mike. It is 2003.
Oh, wow.
Yes, there we go.
That would be the last time they jumped unranked into the rankings. The last time they were ranked was the shortened preseason. I mean, the shortened COVID season, December 2020. They were 4-0.
I'm so glad we didn't do the point scheme where it adds up over time. I'd be in like negative 37 right now or 36. I've only got to answer right in 4 weeks. And that including overtime.
All right, Trey, take it home.
What's our score before we go here?
All right, so we got Grandpa J at 4. Oh, Grandpa J wins, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to win.
So Grandpa J picks up his 4th victory this week.
Let me just update.
Anticlimactic. You got
Yeah.
to answer the question first.
I knew I was out. I just didn't know if anybody else had a shot.
No, you have -2, and Mike and I have -4. So,
Yeah, I knew I was. I knew I only got one.
all right, we'll do this question for fun.
Okay, so
I'm trying to sweep it. Let's go
Of course,
3
it's
for
okay.
30, baby.
Okay, so back to the NFL since this is week 1. In the NFL, the highest scoring team, average score in 1 week was in 1973. It was the Atlanta Falcons. They beat the New Orleans Saints in that game 62-7. Woo!
Nice.
What a ass kicking. 62-7. In that game, how many turnovers did the Saints commit on that day? 6, 7, 8, or 9?
The
6.
Saints got beat, right? 62-7.
Yes.
Mike,
How
you
many
didn't choose
turnovers did the
7?
Saints commit while getting beat down?
I'm gonna go 7.
Wait.
And because of that, I will go 8.
What was our,
Two,
I didn't hear Mike. So 7, John, 8, Jamie.
See, now
Mike
you point
6,
that
John
out.
7, me 8.
He said 8.
I said 6.
Oh, 6.
And 6 for Mike. Okay, so unfortunately for you all, today I have successfully stumped everybody except for Jamie. Damn.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
The man is on fire, ladies and gentlemen.
And our
Congratulations.
our 75th episode champion and has 4 wins in the Stump the Squad challenge.
Yeah.
It's Grandpa J.
Here's what I'm going to do for you guys. Since you guys are already gone fishing, I'll just put on the fishing gear for you, right? You know, since you guys should be putting your fishing bowls together because it's time to go fishing, boys. You got a lot of ground to make up already here. We back in the winning seat, baby. Let's go.
It's going to be a dramatic comeback.
Trey, what were you saying?
Real quick facts about that game before we move on. Like I said, it was 62-7 ass kicking. The starting quarterback for that game, Mike's boy, Archie Manning.
No way.
Yeah, well, the father of my.
No, that's your boy. He put his seeds out, and you love the seeds. So that's your boy. Pause. So Mike's boy, Archie Manning, he threw 5 interceptions in that game. He was 5 for 13 for 62 yards. The backup quarterback threw 1 interception in that game. They also had 2 fumbles. And the crazy part about this is a fun fact of the game. Atlanta also fumbled the ball 8 times in that game, but the Saints only recovered 2 of them.
Jesus.
So the game was
Well,
there.
they tried. They tried to.
They just couldn't hand them the game. They kept dropping the ball and put it on the ground. So, yeah, it was a very sloppy game. We turned to a 62-7.
God, 70s football, man.
Yeah, 70s football, 1973.
All right, so that was Stump the Squad where Grandpa J takes a 4-1 with Mike, 2 segs for Trey and I. Maybe Trey and I will get on the board. Trey, our strategy next week is anytime Amy answers something right, we'll just go with his answer.
Jamie, you have to go first every time.
Yeah, we have to wait for we'll strategize it. But, fellas, another week in the books, our 75th episode. Thank you to everyone for tuning in always. Over 500,000 views across all platforms. Couldn't do it without you guys. We love doing this every single week. So drop some comments below. Let us know what you love about the show and who your best
also
week
drop
on
topic
matchups.
ideas. If there's certain topics,
Yeah.
Please.
talk about certain topics, if you want us to do certain individual videos, drop it. Let us know.
Yes.
Or you guys can tag us on Instagram and ask us a question. We'll repost it.
Yeah, we'll repost, we'll respond, we'll do videos. If there's certain videos you want the squad to do, if there's a video you want one of his individuals to do, yeah, we will respond.
Well, fellas,
Oh, nice.
any final thoughts going into the weekend?
Yeah. You know what you should be watching on Sunday in between a
NFL.
terrible game? It's Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic, U.S. Open men's.
Hold on, Ben
champion.
Shelton.
Nah, it's football Sunday. Ain't nobody gonna be watching that except me, probably.
You're gonna be
What's
the one
tennis?
viewer. You're gonna be the one viewer in the U.S.
Actually, you know how smart they are over in England? They're taking this weekend off, I think, because it's the NFL opening weekend. There's no football being played over in England this weekend.
It's smart though. I mean, they do
Yeah.
it the right way. But
But real quick, opening night. Who you guys got? Defending champs?
Kansas City winning by 3. I think Detroit takes them to the wire. Trey?
Kansas City, late touchdown, win.
Yep.
Mahomes I'm going to say Mahomes is going to hit
Scantling.
Marquez
Scantling.
MVS. I'm going to say he's going to hit him on a late pass to win the game.
I agree. Chiefs late touchdown, but it's going to be a screen to Isaiah Pacheco.
Jamie?
Detroit football, not
Detroit
football.
Give me Jared Goff on
Shout out
a
to
game-winning
Beast.
drive
Wow.
It's the big-
Lions fan.
on the road.
You instantly
Lions
became
win.
Brandon's best
Lions
friend.
win by 3.
You just skipped Trey and Brandon's friend list. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Remember to go to fansidea.com to get your jerseys for this weekend and for the season. You can put your brand on it as we have Cinco Squad here. Cinco Squad 10, get that discount. And we'll see you guys here next week for episode 76. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week, guys.